season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show, Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
They know the minutia of game time decisions, when to call timeouts, when the kick, go for two, and all that other stuff better than the head coaches, because the head coaches aren't watching 30, 35 games like sports fans are between college football and the NFL. All the head coaches are doing are watching game films. They may be watching 30 game films, but they're not watching game management. So the fan does know.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Mike Trout, will he ask for a trade? And maybe I'm a bit of a Neanderthal for asking this, and people are going to say, listen, he's never leaving. I refuse to accept that we're just not going to get Mike Trout postseason baseball ever again. Because clearly when healthy, he can still do it. But he's also rarely healthy and still kind of expensive. It's complicated.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Course setup, Bethpage, and how soft the greens were, how long it played. It definitely was an advantage for Europe from my mind, and they putted better.
Well, but do you think, in a weird way, that same setup is what allows the Americans to get back in it today? Because you do see a lot of those big putts made.
Yeah.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
You miss it, baby. Game time decisions. We're live right now on SportsGrid with you on a Tuesday night. We got a lot to handle here. Kevin Walsh, we're live on the decisions desk. What do we have in store for you? We have NLCS action, which is headlining tonight's card. The Dodgers and the Brewers. Milwaukee down 1-0 in this series as Blake Snell continues a dominant postseason run out, 8 strong last night against the Brew Crew in a bang under. So far in the CS, we have not seen a home victory. The Mariners turn to Freddie Peralta to try and right that ship. On the other side of the mound is Yamamoto as the Dodgers booked as favorites once again here, and a Dodgers team whose number to win the World Series grows shorter and shorter by the game. Mind you, this is a Dodger team who has only lost one game so far in this postseason. They have felt as dominant as they were expected to be in the regular season. Now, though, I think one of the questions that I'm not going to say it hangs over the head of the Dodgers, but it's a fascinating one. They are winning in spite of their MVP's performance, not because of it. Shohei Ohtani has been a disaster at the dish. He's batting 138 in this postseason. And remember, the first game of the playoffs, his first at bat, he had a home run. He had a 2-home run game. Ohtani has only recorded 2 RBI since that game. He's only recorded 2 hits since that game. Not a hit yet in this series. Did walk 3 times, though, in game number 1. Is Shohei Ohtani in line for a big performance tonight against Freddie Peralta? We will get into that. Where else might you be on this Tuesday slate? Maybe the NHL board for you. Again, it's not a huge night of action. Reminder, next week, NBA starts opening night for the association. We'll have you covered there, just as we did when the NHL season got underway a week ago. In 10 minutes' time, we'll be joined by Pete Jensen of NHL, who will help us go through tonight's card and the overview, what maybe we've seen move in the market through the opening week. Some of the bigger games you'll see, the Rangers, a home dog against Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers, and a fun one going off late night between the Stars and the Wild. Dallas, a pretty sizable favorite in that matchup. All stuff that we will be tracking, and again, going to get some help from Pete Jensen in just a little bit. College football card, again, if you remember the tweets, again, I don't know, about a week ago or a week ago tomorrow, 49 straight days of football. Why? Tuesday night action, Conference USA and the Sun Belt stepping up to the dish here. Liberty, New Mexico State. Liberty, a 10.5-point favorite. One of the bigger disappointments at the G5 level, but getting a lot of respect here on this number. South Alabama, a 1-5 South Alabama is going to lay 7.5 to Arkansas State. And then a big-time number for the high-flying Western Kentucky Hilltoppers as they are going up against FIU in a little Conference USA action. There's one of the three that stood out to me the most. I could probably get to a play in all three. Tried not to force action in these college football games this year. We can go through them again. There's one that stood out more than the most. We'll get you updated numbers. Where you can get in probably makes the difference a little bit on if you want to actually get to the window. But that's where we are for the college football. Speaking of football, last night, 2 monster games in the NFL where we see double dog outright, and both of these made a big difference. It closed with Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears getting that sweet, sweet revenge against the Washington Commanders, covering a 5.5-point number by winning that game outright. DeAndre Swift has his biggest game in a Chicago Bears uniform. Caleb Williams continuing to trend up. It's a Bears group who have now won 3 straight games where they closed as a dog in all 3. They project as favorites in 4 of their next 6 football games. It's a Chicago team that can start to make a dent. For Washington, that's missed opportunity city. With the people's perception of Philadelphia, Washington, I don't think would have gone to favorites to win the division, but people were starting to get real high on that Commander's supply. All of a sudden, that dampened a little bit due to that loss at the hand of Chicago. Though that loss, hard to say it was the worst one we saw yesterday. The Buffalo, what have you actually done this year, Bills? About as unimpressive a 4-2 record as we have in this league. And yes, I'm self-aware in saying that. The Bills wins, the Ravens, 1 win. The Jets, no wins. The Dolphins, 1 win against the Jets. The Saints, oh my gosh, 1 win. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, truly, what are we doing here with this Bills group? Host New England, you lay over a touchdown, can't get it done. Offense, struggling. Go to Atlanta. Offense, struggling. Joshy, turnovers? Is that you? What are you doing here? I thought you were gone. And nice to see you. It's been a while. Pretty interesting. 4 picks in his last 3 games for Josh Allen. His MVP status dropping a little bit. No longer the favorite off of that Monday nighter. But the questions for Buffalo are not really about whether or not Josh Allen can win an MVP. It's whether or not this Buffalo Bills team can win a Super Bowl. So I decided, in what has been one of the messiest opening 6 weeks of an NFL season, where everyone and all these outlets do their power rankings, 1 through 32. For a K7 on a Tuesday, Kevin 7, let's take a shot. 7 NFL tiers. 4 teams didn't make the cut. Does not mean those 4 are the 4 worst teams in football. They just didn't make the cut. They would have been forced into a slot that they didn't belong in. Listen, it's not all disrespect. We'll hit on all 32 teams. But I think what is going to be the most accurate set of rankings you've seen on this Tuesday is coming up in 20 minutes' time right here on this desk. And maybe those rankings will help us get ready for Week 7 in the NFL. We will have Brady Cannon joining us here on this Tuesday, and we'll get a little bit of insight from Brady on what he is going to do with some really key numbers and some really big numbers out there, because we've got a double-digit divisional spot. We got a road 7-point favorite. We've got a team in a tough travel spot laying a touchdown. We have some QB questions as per. We also have in most rankings, no spoilers, but not mine, the number one team in most rankings, decent-sized dog, all of a sudden in week number 7. So how do we attack next weekend's NFL slate? Those conversations always begin here on Game Time Decisions on a Tuesday. Let's help you get ready for this hockey board. It starts off at 7 o'clock, as we said. There's some good options on that board. And if you're in the mix right now, right, you're in that flow state, you've got a little bit of juice, you need a little bit more, the NHL, I think, is ready to answer the bell here tonight. Again, we're going to get you a full breakdown of the matchup between the Brewers and the Dodgers. I think there's a few good get-in spots. Best bets will be featured there. We've got a couple of options on this college football slate that we can handle as well. 3 games, 2 in the Conference USA, 2 in the Sun Belt. So we'll handle all of that. NFL, power rankings, all good stuff. But next, it's Pete Jensen going through the NHL slate on a Tuesday night on SportsGrid.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I can tell you right now, Jamar Chase is getting moved on a lot of teams. And I understand why. I mean, you don't have Joe Burrow coming back this year. It's just not happening. And then Jake Browning has been less than impressive. There's no doubt about that. So Jamar Chase is still an extraordinary talent, and I think buying him low is interesting. Why? Because if you do look, the schedule does get a little bit easier. The defense is still bad. Jake Browning has been productive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're O'Connell, you have a serious decision to make. Like, what is, again, he's been hurt now in back-to-back years, McCarthy.
Yeah.
You don't know what you have.
100%.
This is a similar situation to what the Niners did with Trey Lance. Like, if the guy can't stay on the field, and again, the limited, you have to do what's best for the organization.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's start in the Atlantic, where the New York Knicks are minus 250 favorites to win the Atlantic Division. Philadelphia 76ers are plus 490, Boston 8-1, Toronto 13-1, Brooklyn 25-1, and it could be 250,000-1. They're not winning the division.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions, we're live on a Tuesday night. The NHL gives us the most really to dive into here. If you're looking to bet this slate, that means we need a little bit of help. So we go to someone who knows what he's talking about here on the ice. That is Pete Jensen. You can find his work over at NHL Fantasy. Find him on Twitter at NHL Jensen. Pete, I want to start with this, if I may, though. You know, if anybody's over on your Twitter page, you'll notice it does say Penn State alum. Just quick, any opinion on the firing of James Franklin? Not really the Nittany Lions year.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's tough. We're shifting our focus, I guess you could say, to Gavin McKenna and Penn State hockey this year with their chances at the national title. Everybody had national title hopes for the football team, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think it was a time for the move. I mean, you could have made that move after the UCLA game. They gave him another week to get things right. It didn't happen. The season spiraled out of control. Really feel for Drew Aller. Say what you want about him, but to see him go down in his final year was really, gut-wrenching and stuff like that. The Franklin era overall, I think, can be viewed as a success because, he kept them perennial top 10 team most of those years. Couldn't really win the big game. You look at some of the elite talent they churned out, right? Saquon Barkley, Micah Parsons, Tyler Warren, etc. I think he left his mark on the program overall, but tough ending there. Things kind of spiraled out of control.
But a nice sag over to the Penn State hockey team. Let's get into the pro hockey options here. There is a pretty big game, at least early season to me, Pete, between the Rangers and the Oilers. I think two of the more noteworthy groups heading into this season. I'm curious what you'll be looking for in tonight's game, but if one of these teams, when we're talking futures, fade or back, stands out to you more than the other?
I mean, I would back the Oilers more than the Rangers. The Rangers could bounce back and make the playoffs, but their bottom six forward group, their defensive depth is really a concern. So far in the early going, they've been extremely inconsistent. They bounced back against the Penguins, who shut them out on opening night, and then they ran into, I guess you could say, a hot goalie, but Charlie Lindgren shut them out again. So I'm personally a big fan of Mike Sullivan and what he did with the Penguins with the back-to-back cups and stuff like that. But let's be honest, he had a much more loaded team when he took over in Pittsburgh compared to right now. The Rangers are kind of on the cusp of either, falling. They missed the playoffs last year. They could get back in this year. They could lose like Panarin in free agency after this season. They're kind of at a crossroads right now, and I don't really love what I've seen from them in recent years either at 5-on-5. The Oilers took a big step last postseason at 5-on-5. One nice layer this year is they have some young kids, Isaac Howard, Matt Savoy, and also Jack Roslovic is making his debut for the Oilers. He was a nice little goal scorer for the Carolina Hurricanes last year, playing in their top six, and he's going to step on the ice at MSG. I like him in the props market tonight to make an immediate impact, especially if he plays on a line with guys like McDavid, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins, etc.
Yeah, Pete, it's going to be a really interesting one in the early portions. We have what is certainly looking like a bit of a mismatch, through the numbers here between Carolina and San Jose. Canes have won their first two games. This is their first game, though, on the road. Sharks have lost their first two, and both of those already were at home. What will you look for here in what looks like a mismatch on paper?
It looks like a mismatch, but look at what the Sharks did their first two games. They blew the game against Vegas at home with a 3-2 lead late in the third period, lost in overtime. Then they had another lead against the Ducks, really high-scoring game. The Sharks have a great offense. The defense and the goaltending, a little suspect right now. They're in a full-fledged, full-blown rebuild, but Michael Misa is making his debut tonight. They got, obviously, Celebrini and Will Smith and William Eklund and some nice young talent and Sam Dickinson on the blue line, like a lot of high-end prospects for this team moving forward. And even in the short term, they're going to score on most nights 3+ goals. So I would say, based on the fact that the Hurricanes, sometimes get a little snake bitten in terms of goals, it's not a slam dunk that they're going to win on the puck line here. We've seen 2 overtime losses and 9 goals scored combined over the first 2 games of the season for the Sharks. So I'm looking to see what Misa is going to do tonight. Does he make an immediate punch for the Sharks, and do they at least make this a game and have another, 1 or 2 goal loss? I think they're capable of that.
Yeah, we'll keep our eyes on that. And then the one even a little bit later than that, it's Anaheim and Pittsburgh, and it's a Penguins team, Pete, that I know a lot of people fascinated to follow early season. They get the upset early with a shutout win against the Rangers. A lot of talk around Sidney Crosby. How is this year going to play out for one of the all-time greats? What are you looking for tonight as they go out west to play Anaheim?
I'm looking at Anaheim as one of the up-and-coming offenses in the league. They got a red-hot second line going on right now. If you want to dive into the props market and look at goal props or point props or shot props, there is Cutter Gauthier with Mason McTavish and the rookie Beckett Seneca. He was a guy they took at the draft at the Sphere last year, and he was a big surprise. Like, nobody ever expected him to go number 3. The Ducks were seeing something here. This guy's build and immediate success in the NHL through his first 2 games is really eye-opening. This guy looks like he could be a long shot for the Calder Trophy, and the Ducks are that young team that is on the cusp of making the next step into playoff contention as early as this season. They got the youth, the veteran savvy, and the goaltending with Dostal. So a big sleeper pick out west is Anaheim.
All right, fantastic. Pete Jensen, again, find his work over at NHL Fantasy. Pete, we really appreciate it.
Anytime, guys. Looking forward to dropping the puck tonight and all the surprises and disappointments and twists and turns that come this season. Of course, the Olympics later in the year, so a lot of momentum building on the ice for sure.
No doubt about it. Again, you can find him on Twitter at NHL Jensen. As again, on a Tuesday here, where I feel like we've been just, yes, we had a Monday night doubleheader. We had 2 playoff baseball games, right? There's so much going on. The most you have at your disposal right now is that NHL slate, so that's why we wanted to bring Pete in and get you set up for that. Let's shift our attention, though, over to Dodgers-Brewers. Do we see a home team win in one of these CSs? Or is it going to just stay road, and are the Dodgers just going to keep on rolling? We will break that game down next. We're live with you right here on SportsGrid. It's Game Time Decisions.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
You may be surprised, because I am, that the athlete in the world who has become the first billionaire is Cristiano Ronaldo. I did not know that, and I did not have that on my bingo card. So after his contract that he just signed, it means that he's the first athlete to ever earn $1 billion playing sports.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night. Bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at old plus 190. Right. These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Live right here on SportsGrid. Brewers-Dodgers is the big one in just across the card tonight. Let me get the most updated numbers across different shops to see. So if you want to back the Dodgers, looks like best number you'll see is minus 118 FanDuel. Even money pretty much anywhere else, though, if you're playing the Brewers. All right? The total for this game, which was a little interesting to me, you're seeing plus money, even money, 7s or expensive 7.5s under. At first glance, I thought this would, I would play it to the under. But I think it's a little difficult for me because these are talented offenses who just played a 2-1 baseball game where mostly nothing was doing. And I think it could be hard to hold those, offenses down in check. And again, hold both offenses down in check, right? Like if you're going to play under 7, and one team gets to 6, you're in a tough spot, right? It's just one of those instances where I'll likely be backing away from a total. I felt that the Brewers had a real chance coming into this series. Losing that opening game, I don't want to say was planned. They were a decent dog. And part of that has just been the Blake Snell dominance, which is just something I want to almost do a re-rack of. And we've talked about this a little bit. But for the Dodgers coming into this season, the story of or the reason behind the strength in the Dodgers numbers was the pitching. And that didn't really even include Ohtani. I mean, at some point we thought Ohtani would be back on the mound, right? But Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, whatever Kershaw could give them, the 800 names they added in the bullpen. Sasaki was supposed to be a high-leverage starter for this team at some point. And as someone who faded Snell, I don't remember what I bet, admittedly. But there was something I bet in the first game against the Reds. And that was his worst start. He gave up 2 runs in 7 innings, only 4 hits, struck out 9. In his last 2 starts, 14 innings, 2 hits, 19 strikeouts combined. He didn't walk anyone on the Brewers yesterday in 8 innings. They couldn't touch him. They could not touch him. And it's why the Dodgers feel so overwhelming right now and why I'm almost surprised their numbers are not stronger. Not a slight to the Mariners, right? But everyone knows again, why the Mariners get booked the way they do. It's not a Cal Raleigh thing. It's not a J-Ron thing. It's a rotation thing. Oh, it's Kirby. Wu will be back. Luis Castillo. They might lose every matchup. They might. With the way Snell's pitching, best pitcher in the playoffs. This is. Yamamoto's supposed to be the ace, right? Ohtani's like a cherry on top kind of situation. So it's what makes the Dodgers so scary, and it's why I'm not running to the Brewers tonight or on series numbers. We have time, though, right? These are 7-game sets. You want to see a little bit of life, I think. Miss out on some better numbers from, the teams trailing when we're talking about Milwaukee right now, or even Toronto, who will be, getting it going once again tomorrow as they head up to the Pacific Northwest and play Seattle. So what is worth getting involved with tonight? Where is there some value tonight? To me, it's on Ohtani. Ohtani's having the worst stretch of his entire season. Ohtani did not have a stretch. I looked through this, once, twice, 3 times. He did not have a stretch in the regular season where he went 3 straight games without a hit. He's now gone 3 straight games without a hit in the playoffs. Is Ohtani going to go 4 consecutive without a hit? Freddie Peralta struggled this year more with the left-handed side of the plate than the right-handed side. Ohtani's been far more dangerous and threatening for a right-handed pitcher than a left-handed pitcher. This is a situation you watch a lot of these Dodger games, and teams are horrified to let Ohtani see a righty, right? That was why Nola got pulled in that game number 3 early, ended up giving up, or Ranger Suarez came in, ended up giving up the home run to Tommy Edman. Is they're like, Suarez has to pitch to Ohtani no matter what, even though Aaron Nola was off to a nice little start in that game. Just all eyes on how do we handle Ohtani, even while he's struggling. Like that's why I'll reference, do we want to talk Ohtani a little bit more? And I think it's a fascinating thing, but it's not all slander. Like, teams are still scared of Ohtani despite the fact that he's batting sub 150. At -124 tonight, this is something I was doing with Judge. And, we saw postseason numbers shorten these Judge prices, and he's hit 2+ hit run RBI in basically every game. I think Ohtani has to start to get on a run here. He's at -124 for 2+ hit run RBI. I think we get in the mix. AJ's got Freddie Peralta over the K's. Yarnell, Western Kentucky team total over 33.5. Kevin 7 is next.
football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
You may be surprised, because I am, that the athlete in the world who has become the first billionaire is Cristiano Ronaldo. I did not know that, and I did not have that on my bingo card. So after his contract that he just signed, it means that he's the first athlete to ever earn $1 billion playing sports.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night, bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at old plus 190. Right. These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
We're live on SportsGrid. It's Game Time Decisions. And if you look around the sports media landscape, power rankings are running wild right now in the National Football League. And it's a tough task because it's not obvious. And that's good. That's fun. But boy, are there a lot of rankings that are not connected. There's a lot of hypocritical things you'll be seeing. Oh, well, this team beat this team. Oh, but don't worry about that. It's a little messy. I said, you know what? I got to step up to the plate here. It's Kevin Seven. I already know what next week's is. I might do a whole show with Kevin Sevens next week. 7 LeBron futures, 7 reasons LeBron should leave LA, 7 futures, 7 best bets, 7 more things about LeBron, 7 things about... I mean, we don't know, right? We know what next week looks like. So let's do 7 NFL tiers. 32 teams, 28 teams landed inside a tier. Respectfully, Bears, Broncos, Vikings, Falcons, some of this is your fault, some of it's not your fault. We'll address all of it, okay? Here are the 7 buckets, though, a team could have landed in. And you might see some of those and think, oh, I know my team is in that. Don't be so sure. Unless you are the Jets. Tier 7, the Jets. Atrocious. Terrible. The Jets lost by 2 to a team way better than them, and you've never seen worse vibes. Inside that tier with the Jets are actually 2 more teams, the Browns and Titans. That's how bad the Jets' vibes are, is that they're not the only team in the tier, and I still had to call it the Jets. The Browns are definitely the best team in this tier because I still think the defense is good, but Myles Garrett, you better calm it down, brother. We told you we request a trade and mean it. Instead, money's good, and now he's upset he doesn't get to chase sacks. Oh, are you surprised you're losing games? Titans are definitely the worst team in the league. Jets worst 5. Tier 7, the Jets. Tier 6, need a touchdown. What does it mean? I need plus 7. And if I'm getting it, I'm probably getting to the window. Dallas Cowboys. People got to stop overreacting to pressure-free Prescott. Enough of this MVP talk. He's playing stress-free because they are bad. The defense is atrocious. But you know when the Dallas Cowboys are great? Getting 7 against Green Bay, we were at the window. Getting 8.5 against the Philadelphia Eagles, we were at the window. And we're at the window when the Raiders were getting 7 against the Colts. That was ugly. I wish I could have that one back. I should have been at the window when the Cardinals were getting 7 against the Colts this past weekend, even with the backup quarterback. Cardinals getting 7. Why didn't I get in the mix? That's a need a touchdown type of team. Look through these groups here. The Saints, you know what's incredible about the Saints? I think the only time the Saints got blown out was the one time they were actually catching a touchdown. I keep running to the window on the Saints, getting 3.5 against a decent Patriots team, and the next thing you know, we're getting smashed. I need a touchdown to back these teams. But again, when the Dolphins are getting big number on a Thursday, that's exciting. That's real exciting. A part of me wanted to say need double digits. I don't need double digits. I need a touchdown. Tier 6. Tier 5. Green Goblin mask. Oh, these teams won't stop staring at me. And I need them to stop. Because they're speaking to me. They're speaking loudly. And they're speaking consistently. The Houston Texans are a bit of a darling here at the decisions desk. That defense is legit. CJ Stroud has juice. I'm interested. Incredibly, what holds me back from firing away on the Texans numbers is the fact that the division right now is good, despite being in the AFC South. So there's not like a clean pathway for Houston. But I'm interested in Houston because we're getting big-time prices. The Ravens is everybody's Green Goblin mask. Everyone in the world is staring at Baltimore right now, wondering what do we do with these numbers. I'll just say this. Don't bet like under 2-1 to win the AFC North. You're so much better off getting these 10-1 or betters to win an AFC or 20-1 or betters to win a Super Bowl if you're going to back Lamar to get on a run. Now, you might say, Kev, most unbiased man history of sports media, what's Cincinnati doing in there? They should be with the Jets. I 100% got involved with that 400-1 Cincinnati Bengals Super Bowl number because someone had to. So why not us? Now, if they lose Thursday handedly to Rodgers and the Steelers, we might have to reassess. But for now, that's a Green Goblin mask team. Until they tell me Burrow's season is over, we still believe. Unlike Tier 4, real simple, not for me. These teams are not for me, and you're not going to change my mind. And I think maybe the first team you'll see on this tier, the LA Rams, are the biggest reason we're doing this. I saw a thing today that had the Rams second. Huh? What league are you watching? The only team who couldn't light up the Ravens' defense? The team that lost at home laying over a touchdown to Mac Jones? What's that about? Did Sean McVay make that list? That's disgusting. Rams are not for me. Seahawks are not for me. Sam Darnold MVP conversations are not for me, man. I get it, he's playing well. You know the last time we saw Sam Darnold play well and it all came crashing down? Literally last season. Like 6 games ago. Let's calm it down. Daniel Jones talk. Oh, boy. Don't tire yourself out with all those victory laps. Do not do it. Do not. I mean, eventually they'll play a decent football team. Like maybe next week. Maybe we'll be involved. I don't know. I think I do. Commanders, not for me. And there was a moment in the summer where I thought they could be. It's just not right. It's not clicking really for that group. Steelers, honestly, I think it's kind I put them in the not for me. Sneaky, I need a touchdown to get involved with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But they are 4-1, so they make the not for me. What breaks my heart, but again, most unbiased man history of sports media, is that the Jags are in the not for me category. But the biggest evidence that they're not for me is they closed as a home dog to Seattle, and I never bet it, never touched it. I knew not to. I like a lot of the pieces. I don't trust them fully. Tier 3, real juice. Real juice. Bucks, Chargers, Pats, Niners. There's real potential here. Now, Tampa Bay, all of a sudden, the number 1 team on all these tiers. Remind me who they lost to. Actually, you don't have to remind me. You all know. The Tampa Bay stuff is fun. As they get healthier, they've got an opportunity to make a deep run here. They do. This is a Bucks team who, at some point, though, has to get fully healthy because that injury bug is no guarantee to run out of the room. Ask 49ers. The 49ers, with the Fred Warner news popping up, the Bosa news popping up, it might be too much to overcome, but they're a good football team. And they're going to get Kittle back. They're going to get Purdy back. Maybe that's bad. They're going to get Pearsall back. The Niners have juice because Kyle Shanahan is a good coach unless he's up 10 in the Super Bowl. Then he's terrible. But before then, really, really good coach. Pats and Chargers are AFC teams that I think need to be respected. Pat's playing well both sides of the football. The Chargers' offensive line will get healthier. Harbaugh's the winner, regular season at minimum. Herbert's going to play well enough. Ladd McConkey starting to come on. Chargers have real juice. Tier 2, definitely your year. I don't know. I might mean this, I might not. Because there's a part of me that thinks it's definitely the Packers' year as the season goes on. And then there's a part of me that's like, obviously, Jordan Love's going to break your heart. And then there's a part of me that's like, it's definitely time for Buffalo to get there, except it's obviously not for Buffalo. And that defense is going to let them down in the postseason again. Remember when the Lions were the best team of all time, except they played 2 good teams and lost both of them by 13 plus? I remember. Tier 1. If there's all this chaos and there's all this craziness, then who can you rely on? The only teams with an active quarterback-coach combination that have been to multiple Super Bowls and both won a Super Bowl, the Eagles and the Chiefs. But as everybody runs to put a 3-3 KC team atop their tiers, atop their rankings, just remember that if the season ended today, they're not in the playoffs, and they lost at home to the Philadelphia Eagles, top team in the league, still most unbiased man in history of sports media. What are we talking about now?
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Keep this on me for now, right now.
Uh-oh.
I was the one telling the people out here, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, if they lost the first 2 football games of the season, would still be in the hunt to make a college football playoff. I talked to Joe Lisi quite a bit during the week, and you know what Joe Lisi's been telling me? Notre Dame just might be the best football team in the country right now, and I believe him. I do. Rolling over teams. The offense is out there right now, and I don't think anybody can stop them.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
I can tell you right now, Jamar Chase is getting moved on a lot of teams. And I understand why. I mean, you don't have Joe Burrow coming back this year. It's just not happening. And then Jake Browning has been less than impressive. There's no doubt about that. So Jamar Chase is still an extraordinary talent, and I think buying him low is interesting. Why? Because if you do look, the schedule does get a little bit easier. The defense is still bad. Jake Browning has been productive.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
If you're O'Connell, you have a serious decision to make. Like, what is, again, he's been hurt now in back-to-back years, McCarthy.
Yeah.
You don't know what you have.
100%.
This is a similar situation to what the Niners did with Trey Lance. Like, if the guy can't stay on the field, and again, the limited, you have to do what's best for the organization.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's start in the Atlantic, where the New York Knicks are minus 250 favorites to win the Atlantic Division. Philadelphia 76ers are plus 490. Boston 8-1. Toronto 13-1. Brooklyn 25-1. And it could be 250,000-1. They're not winning the division.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Back right here on SportsGrid. And our next guest is one of my favorites. But he just made me pay the price for asking what is really a dumb question. Because I asked, what's the word? And he responded with, it's only Tuesday. And that rocked me a little bit. None other than Craig Mish, catching Monday through Friday, including Tuesdays on Newswire. Craig, great to see you as always.
It's great to be on. Yeah, I mean, look, I love postseason baseball. I watch every single game. But there's just something about the weekends now with all of this stuff going on at the same time with college football and pro football and baseball and, hockey back as well. So it's kind of like we got to crawl a little bit till we get there.
Yeah.
Did I lose? Yeah. Sorry, did I freeze up? Sorry about that.
Yeah, you did a little bit. But it's Tuesday, right? Listen, it's all good.
I mean, my son must be playing Roblox or something. I don't know. I may have to kick him off it. We'll see.
I learned what Roblox was like, I don't know, 2 years ago due to like my little cousins, and I was like,
it's the worst.
Wow.
It's the worst. It literally is the worst. My son, I don't even know why my son plays it. He's too old for it, I told him, but he's got a few kids at the school that play it. Yeah. And I'm like, you have College Football 26. You have MLB The Show. Right. There's got to be somebody right now that's playing that you could play against. And if not, call Daddy. I'll be up there getting killed 62-0. If that's the case, I'm good with that.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I'll tell you what, you can have him play one of these knuckleheads in the back, quite frankly, and I think it'll be totally fine. Let's start with the postseason baseball. The Dodgers had an 8-game stretch to start the season where they were 8-0, and it looked like 162-0 was on the board. And they never looked that dominant again until this postseason has started back up, and it feels like this is the best baseball we've seen the Dodgers play this year. And the pitching staff, Craig, that we heard so much about over the offseason leading into this year is delivering, you could argue, beyond expectations now, right? With what we're seeing from Snell, who, doesn't, usually go this deep into baseball games, 8 yesterday. Do you just, is it kind of just the Dodgers are going to win this thing and they are the best team and that's what it is?
Yeah, feels inevitable. The Major League Baseball season is still the longest of the ball. It's 162 games. Yeah. And and we do shows every night. You do shows every night. I do shows every day. So it creates different narratives and different stories throughout the season. How can the Dodgers have paid this guy Sasaki so much money? He's trash. Blake Snell, what a terrible signing, And they figure it out. They have an incredible player development group, and they played for the postseason. And it does feel just right now, at least for the time being, Kevin, like that team that can just sort of sleepwalk a little bit. They may end up rolling and going to the postseason and winning, but I'll remind people next year when their win total is 104 or 105, whatever it is, that they're just interested in playing in the postseason and going deep. Now, look, Seattle, look, it's hard to say that they could beat them. They do have some things in place that I think can give them a tough time. Couple of pitchers, their hitters are hot right now. But to answer your question, yes, I think it is the Dodgers. I think next year it will be the Dodgers. And then I believe we'll have a new collective bargaining agreement. And then I do not think it will be the Dodgers after that. I think that will be it.
Is that the only thing that can then really... Would that then, Craig, and I know it's probably maybe a little tough to project, but if that looms, do the Dodgers then ramp this thing up to... they're at 12 already, to 15 to give themselves a chance at a three-peat if they get there. I know it's one game in the CS, but yeah, next year they ramp it up even more.
Yeah, I think, is Tanner Scott even pitching? Like, they gave him $70 million. I don't think it matters to them, the money right now. So, Kevin, it's a fair point, but I don't think this free agent class that's looming is a monster by any stretch, like, at all, like it was the last few years. So, look, it's going to be very, it's the postseason. I want everybody to have fun. I don't want to sit here with a cloud, but it will be interesting to see how the Dodgers handle that and how the Phillies and the Mets handle some of that stuff, because they simply, Kevin, will not be able to operate like they're operating right now. And I think the playing field, they still may be fantastic, but it's not going to be like they just sign every free agent. Like, that's going to end.
And what's really interesting, Craig, is baseball has this air of competitive balance to it where a team like the Dodgers can do what they do. And you're right, we can get into the regular season. When we get into the malaise of an NBA season, right, the Durant Warriors, they didn't have the best record. It didn't matter. We knew what the result was. With baseball, when the Dodgers don't have the best record, we're open to different things, right? They didn't actually enter the postseason as World Series favorites, but I think that back-to-back nature of it is where it'll be like, it'll start to throw things off a little bit. I'm curious, though, on the other side, of this postseason, you understandably talk about Seattle's chances to take them out.
Right.
what type of chance would you give Toronto to now pull off what would be a pretty incredible comeback since the next 3 are on the road?
Yeah, pretty much none. You know, I think you can definitely lose one of the first 2 games at home. I don't think you can drop those first 2. And the other thing, Kevin, is that what was the one thing that Toronto did against the Yankees that made you think that they could go even further, maybe to the World Series? It was the kid who pitched yesterday, E. Savage, right? You're like, wow, well, if this kid does what he did against the Yankees, the Blue Jays could go all the way. And Seattle was like, let's just go back and watch the film. That's why baseball is the best advanced scouting, ahead of the NFL, ahead of the NBA. They get their act together. They know exactly what to do and how to do it against these guys. And now if you're Toronto, I guess you're going to start him again, right, in game 5 or 6, but you can't feel that confident anymore. And we've gone from all the way up here to all the way down here in just one start. So my confidence level in Toronto is very low. Milwaukee, you never know. I mean, things could change quickly in the series. It could go deep, but they can't lose like that and expect to come back.
Yeah, I think for me with Toronto is, I know we talk rightfully very highly of Seattle pitching, but Bryce Miller projects lower than any of the guys the Yankees threw at them that they lit up, right? Rodon, Fried. I did not expect, if you told me yesterday's game, Craig, finished 10-3, I never thought it would have been a Seattle 10-3 victory, but it shows the level of ball that they're playing right now. We're going to have Craig stick around. We're going to head to some South Beach discussions with Miami. Tua Tagovailoa is having a real interesting run out. We'll talk about that next right here on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
You may be surprised, because I am, that the athlete in the world who has become the first billionaire is Cristiano Ronaldo. I did not know that, and I did not have that on my bingo card. So after his contract that he just signed, it means that he's the first athlete to ever earn $1 billion playing sports.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night, bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at old plus 190. Right. These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions with you right here on a Tuesday night. We've got Brewers-Dodgers coming up, but we're also canvassing the sports landscape with the help of Craig Mish. You can catch him on Newswire Monday through Friday right here on SportsGrid. And Craig, again, you're very tied into the Miami roots of it all, though I'm not sure anyone can really explain what is going on with the Miami Dolphins. It felt to me like the struggles were all going to land at the feet of Mike McDaniel. And every single time Tua steps in front of a microphone, he is doing whatever he can to have it land at his feet. Tua basically was saying, yeah, we have player-only meetings. No one shows up on time. Then you've got people on Twitter quote tweeting it saying Tua's not showing up on time to player-only meetings, or not. He's not even in attendance. The stuff in Miami is more of a mess, Craig, than I could have imagined.
Yeah, so look, it's very complicated with what's going on there, Kevin, but what I would say is a few things. I think you have to understand the word, I guess, is the genesis of all of this, which is what you said, I think, is accurate, that Tua seems to unequivocally defend and bend for his head coach, and Mike McDaniel just trying to find every other potential excuse to lean in on as opposed to the head coach. And I think people are forgetting everything, Kevin. When Tua was the quarterback and Brian Flores was the head coach, it was crystal clear that Flores did not like Tua at all. And in fact, played Fitzpatrick and tried to play like other dudes ahead of him. And Tua felt like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, like offended and personally hurt by things that Flores said. Remember at one point there was rumors they were trying to go out and get Tom Brady and stuff like that. So McDaniel comes in, Kevin, and immediately is like, I'm your guy. I'll always be there for you. And he loves the guy for that. It doesn't mean he's good or McDaniel's good, but that's where this relationship started. And Tua, who I think is probably a very smart guy, makes horrendous talking decisions a lot. He does it a lot. And what he said the other day is well within a game for a starting quarterback in the NFL on a Wednesday or a Thursday. But after you lose the game, oh my gosh. I mean, look, maybe just some part of him doesn't get it, you know? Like when Puka Nacua said he didn't even know they were in the NFC West. It made me wonder how that was possible, you know? How is it possible that Tua doesn't get the moment? Like, you just lost the game. Do you think now's the time to bring all this crap up? Wednesday's the time. All the reporters are there, Kevin. It's the first day of media. I've done it for 25 years. And that's when you air your grievances out. And then, you know, the stories become the stories. But after your team is sitting in the locker room as losers in the game, no, I don't think that's necessarily the time to do that.
Yeah, I also I know. I'm sure they'll listen, power, it's magic. Craig, it's so bizarre to me though, because it's not like they lost by 20. They played a good team and lost a heartbreaker, and I know he threw 3 picks. It almost feels like in that moment, Tua is, we would have won that game if people showed up to the meeting, and I don't think that's really the takeaway from a narrow loss to a team like the Chargers. I don't, it's so bizarre, it's so out of touch, and it's complicated things to the point, Craig, where, you know, a lot of people thought Mike McDaniel was going to be the first head coach fired. That's now Brian Callahan. I might sound crazy. I'd give Mike McDaniel the whole season, and I'd consider letting him draft his own quarterback. I'm not, like, everyone is so convinced that they need to get rid of Mike McDaniel. I don't think there's any chance. Yeah, but I don't think there's any chance of that. I think that he's lost the other players, because the other players are getting thrown under the bus by Tua, and they're not coming to say, you know, the player is not saving the player. He's saving the coach. Right.
Speaking of Callahan, can I just add something here? This week, the Titans are +7. It's the first time this season that a coach has been fired. You know, betting on the team where the coach gets fired is one of the best bets in the NFL. Let me combine that with the fact that the other best bet historically in the NFL is the road team playing their 3rd straight game on the road. That's New England. Are you kidding me? This is the perfect storm this weekend. Titans +7, Kevin. Get it in now. Don't wait. It was 7.5. This is it. This is the Stone Cold Liar. This week,
the Craig Mitch spot of the year. Wow, I absolutely love it. Mike McCoy, you better step up.
football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circa Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
You may be surprised, because I am, that the athlete in the world who has become the first billionaire is Cristiano Ronaldo. I did not know that, and I did not have that on my bingo card. So after his contract that he just signed, it means that he's the first athlete to ever earn $1 billion playing sports.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night. Bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at old plus 190. Right. These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions, as always, we are busy on a Tuesday night. Live right now, the NHL slate, that college football board is getting underway. We got another one coming up, South Alabama, Arkansas State, Western Kentucky, FIU in just a little bit. We'll keep, eyes on everything happening. We'll get you best bets again in the baseball, the college football before we get out of here. But as always, on a Tuesday, we bring in our guy, Brady Cannon, to help us talk through the upcoming week of NFL lines. And Brady, I want to start with what I think is kind of a hot-button topic around the NFL right now. Who's the best team? Who are the 2 or 3 best teams right now? If you look in some places, you will see a lot of Tampa Bay Buccaneers sitting at 5-1, some postseason pedigree, belief in Baker Mayfield. There's a lot of Kansas City Chiefs vibes that people are talking about right now. Impressive win over Detroit. They are 3-3 and actually wouldn't be in the playoffs if the season ended today. It doesn't end today, but I do think that is somewhat noteworthy. I tiered the league, Brady, and I just would say right now, due to all the chaos, cluster, and confusion, the top of the league would be the 2 teams that have a Super Bowl winning culture. Because there are 2 teams with an active coach-quarterback combination that have been to multiple Super Bowls and won a Super Bowl, and that's the Eagles and the Chiefs. Through your numbers and power rating, as we've played 6 weeks of football, do you have a best team in the NFL right now?
I'll agree with you on the Eagles. They're going through some growing pains. I don't know what the word you want to call it is, post Super Bowl championship hangover. That's usually not the case for the team that wins the Super Bowl. Usually that's more so on the team that loses the Super Bowl. Yeah. And I think that's definitely what's going on with the Chiefs a little bit. And I think they're just that Patrick Mahomes era. I'm not going to say it's coming to the end, but we've seen it slipping for the last 3 seasons. Even when they won the Super Bowl a couple years ago against the 49ers, they shouldn't have even made the playoffs according to the metrics that year. And I think they're continuing to decline a little bit. And I'm not ready to go get all excited because they beat the Lions. Hey, they also lost to the Jaguars. I still don't think they're that great. The Eagles, I think, will get back there. The A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts stuff, I think they'll get on the same page eventually. Vic Fangio will get his defense figured out eventually. Saquon will start to pop again. They're going to find their way. They're going to make the postseason, and I believe they will be a contender. I still believe the Lions and the Bills are the best two teams, Kevin. Every team is allowed a blunder. Every team, every game in the NFL is hard. And that's why we like this league, because every game matters. No team is going to, we don't see it anymore than like we used to with, the Steelers of the 70s, the 49ers of the 80s, and the Cowboys of the 90s. We don't really have dominant teams like that anymore. There's much more parity. But I do still believe that Buffalo and Detroit are the most powerful two teams.
What I would say is, because we've only played 6 weeks, right? Priors absolutely matter, right? We can't, again, that's why the Colts don't sit atop everyone's power ratings right now, right? Because of the research you do coming into a season. For Detroit, while I think their 2 losses send off a little bit of alarm bells when we talk Super Bowl, because they played the Packers and the Chiefs and they kind of got rolled up in both of those games. The interesting thing for Buffalo right now, Brady, is I don't know if they have a game this season outside of that fourth quarter comeback against Baltimore where I go, boom, that's the team that we're looking for. The wins over the bad teams weren't that impressive. Yesterday against Atlanta, I don't know if you were on a side in that game. I actually thought it was a decent Buffalo spot because the offense had to get right. I mean, the offense just never answered the bell. I thought that was a more concerning loss than the New England loss.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. The New England loss, it's a division game. New England was live in that game. A lot of wise guys were on the Patriots. I was scared. We used the Bills in Survivor, and it's like threading the needle. I think think this team's going to win, but I think that team's going to cover. I was on the Falcons last night. I just thought it was too many points with such a great rushing attack led by Bijan Robinson against what is a really poor Buffalo Bills run defense. Now, Matt Milano, this guy, I mean, availability is a part of, the grade, in my opinion, on how good you are. And he's played in as many games as he's missed in his career. And, this guy, he just can't be relied upon. I think the Bills are going to get it figured out before the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if they add some pieces on defense to try and shore up that rushing defense that has really led to a lot of their problems. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator, I think you could get on him a little bit. Why aren't you just leaning more on James Cook and the rushing attack? But when the Bills click, I think they're as good as anybody. And really, the Lions, the first game of the year, I think that was a bit of a product of the fact that they had 2 new coordinators on defense and on offense. Then they said, okay, we're through that. Ben Johnson, no problem. And we're rolling. And then the loss to the Chiefs, they were decimated by injury. They had no secondary. Yep. They had no starters in the secondary. So I'll give them a pass there as well. I do believe that those 2 teams are a little bit better than the Chiefs and the Colts. The Chargers, they have a lot of injury issues as well. The Niners are a good team. The Rams are a very good team. Now Puka's out for a little bit. The Niners are a good team, but they, without Warner and Bosa, not going to happen.
Yeah, the injury stuff for the Niners is unimaginable. And that, their lines moved actually a lot against Atlanta. We can bring that up actually quickly. And I don't know if it's the Fred Warner stuff settling in, but I think it's a lot more to do with the Falcons beating the Buffalo Bills, Brady. Again, if you saw different numbers than me, please let me know. But I saw the Niners at -3, one spot 3.5 against the Falcons this coming week. That's now 2.5, if not 2, anywhere I'm looking heading into week number 7.
Yeah, what did I make that one? I actually made the Niners a 1-point favorite.
Interesting.
And maybe we'll get there. Over the summer, it was 6.5, which makes sense. I think you could definitely say that they're the better team than the Falcons, but not right now in their current state of affairs. Maybe Brock Purdy comes back for this game. I'm not even so sure that matters. Mac Jones has done very, very well, but he's banged up as well. They just don't have enough horses. And, obviously Bosa's a huge loss. They've lost him for a season before, but now Warner, that is, I heard some guys talking about it today. That team has a lot of star power. George Kittle, Brock Purdy, Christian McCaffrey, Fred Warner. But, you lose a few of those guys and the cupboard looks pretty bare. They don't have a lot of depth. The Atlanta Falcons, I thought, might be favored in this game. And that is actually, and if they do become a favorite in this game, I'll probably bet San Francisco, because that is what we saw work out properly for the Jacksonville Jaguars a couple weeks ago. I talk about this situation when you have a home underdog that wins outright, and then the following week they go into the role of road favorite. It usually doesn't end well, and it did not for the Kansas City Chiefs, who did that same thing. Won outright as a home dog, went on the road to Jacksonville as a road favorite. Obviously, they lost that game outright. If the Falcons become a favorite in this game, I very well may be on San Francisco for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you. I haven't updated it, after yesterday or after this past weekend, I guess I should say. But teams off of Monday night so far, Brady, this year, not covering. And, Atlanta.
Traveling across country, short week. It's a tough spot.
Yeah. I think, again, it's sometimes you kind of root in a result to get to a number for the following week, right? And if you're someone who liked the Niners, this weekend, Atlanta winning was the best possible thing that could have happened for you on Monday night, because instead of
the public will be all over them.
Absolutely.
What they saw on Monday night, and the Niners are so beaten up and blah blah blah.
Right.
I think the majority, you might have 70% of the tickets or so on the Falcons.
Yep. What we're going to do is we're going to run up against the break here. We've talked power ratings again. What I think is, like, right now the consensus number one team is a dog pretty decidedly this weekend. I want Brady's thoughts on that. I might bring up a college line, by the way, because this is going to be one of the more interesting spots. He probably has an idea where I'm going with this. That's next. It's Game Time Decisions. We're on Sports.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all three Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
You may be surprised, because I am, that the athlete in the world who has become the first billionaire is Cristiano Ronaldo. I did not know that, and I did not have that on my bingo card. So after his contract that he just signed, it means that he's the first athlete to ever earn $1 billion playing sports.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night, bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at plus 190. Right. These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions. We're back right here on SportsGrid. Occasionally, one of our great producers, Sam, will get mad at me for doing the show during commercial. Can't help it, though, right? We bring on our great guests. We're friends. We talk. He would be rightfully mad because you all missed out on the reaction that Brady gave when I told him about the college football spread, but I also don't think his reaction was fit for air. So it all kind of worked out. I'll just say, just so everyone can hear about it. Now we'll super throw it on your radar. Maybe we'll check back in Friday what you're hearing out there in Vegas. But I think one of the lines of the year is Notre Dame at home against USC. In some spots, -10, 9.5 in a huge game, certainly when you talk college football playoff implications. But I don't think many people expected Notre Dame to be that strong a favorite.
It's a big number, Kevin. And you asked me again, going back to our conversation off air, what I think the number would be. And again, I'm not nearly as good at this with college as I am in the NFL. I don't claim to be a college football expert handicapper or anything like that. I said 3. You said between 3.5 and 6.5. I can see exactly where you're going there. Notre Dame's good, but USC's pretty good too, and they just hammered Michigan last weekend. Now, you go over the schedule, and Notre Dame has lost to a couple of really good teams in Miami and Texas A&M. I still believe they are a very good team. But 10, boy, that's surprising to me. I would think even like 7.5 feels big, But now you're all the way to double digits. That really feels inflated.
As someone who was like mentally preparing for a big Notre Dame number, I said, if it gets to 7.5, I have to be on USC. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is it was surprising. So we'll put a pin in it.
Massive rivalry game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little something extra there possibly because of the history between those two teams. Yeah. That seems like it. The other thing is though, Kevin, when something smells fishy, a lot of times that's okay. Stay away. Maybe the odds makers know more than me here.
Yeah, I think we'll put a pin in it. Maybe we'll check back in Friday. Curious what you hear, out there around that game. So then let me bring up another game where I don't know if people will say it smells fishy, Brady. But again, I'm talking a lot about power rankings in other places today because I think they're a fun exercise, and a lot of people have put the Tampa Bay Bucks at number 1. Well, the Bucks are catching 5.5 points this weekend to the Detroit Lions. What do you make of a really big game in the NFC between what is, I think, undeniably 2 of the best teams in that conference?
Absolutely. And they've had some real wars against one another, too. If you remember, I think it was a couple seasons ago when the Lions were really starting to find their stride with Dan Campbell, and Tampa Bay went up into Detroit and beat them, upset them. And then I think the Lions returned the favor maybe the next year or something like that. So it's kind of cool that we've been able to see this matchup happen for what feels like maybe 3 seasons in a row. And it's always been a very good matchup between these two teams. Now, in the last segment, I just said I still think Detroit, and I'd probably put Detroit ahead of Buffalo. I think Detroit is my number 1 team when they're all healthy. And that's something we have to see if that's going to be the case. We expect Brian Branch will probably play, and he's a big piece of that defense. Now, he was suspended. He's appealing it. We don't know when he is going to serve that suspension. I would expect he'll be in for this game. How many of the other members of that defensive secondary are going to be in? I made the number 2.5, Kevin. So wow. I am a little surprised with 4 or 5. It was 4.5 over the summer. And what's changed for me is you do have Detroit nursing some injuries. And you also have, in my mind, Tampa Bay being much better than I thought they would be. So, that's where I kind of closed the gap there by, maybe 2 points. I was thinking of making Detroit 3, but I felt that would probably be a take with the Buccaneers. So I made it 2.5, which seems like a lay. We're kind of right in that no man's land for me between a 2.5 and a 3.
So there's a game, Brady, that I know you had circled up. I'm fascinated to know why. NFC East battle. Dallas, Washington, in the Lone Star State. What stood out to you around this Week 7 game?
I bet this last week. I had this one circled because Dan Quinn is absolutely superior in division games. You go back to the time he was an assistant coach with the Seahawks, and then he got hired as the Atlanta Falcons head coach. He went back and was undefeated against the spread against his former division, the NFC West. After the Atlanta job, he gets hired as the Dallas defensive coordinator. What does he do in those games that Dallas plays against the NFC South? again, they were basically flawless against the spread. Now he's a head coach in the NFC East. Again, that same division that he's now been familiar with for a handful of years with both Dallas and now Washington. He's done tremendous in division, and I was actually betting against him last night because as good as he is in division, he's just as bad the week before. It's like he's so focused on these division games that he loses a lot of times the week before. Also, his offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury, when he was head coach of the Arizona Cardinals, like 7-1 against the spread against the NFC East. These guys are locked in against their division opponents. And you talked about rooting for a result, so it sets you up for the next week. Them losing last night with 3 turnovers is perfect. They'll get all that cleaned up, and I wouldn't be surprised if they destroyed Dallas.
You know, this is a really interesting one where, you know, again, sometimes it can be about timing. Because anybody, Brady, who may be on the other side and like Dallas, it opened in a few spots 3, and it just felt like the only way that holds is if they handle business against Chicago, like considerably. Yeah. Right. And once, like you said, that didn't happen, we've got multiple 1.5s out there now, right? So we've now talked about.
I saw 2s and 2.5s. I bet it at 2.5. I got a bad number. I personally made it 2. But I think the situation is very strong for Washington.
But it's we've seen it now in 2 spots that we talked about here. It's just something to keep in mind. I think we have another one of these Monday night doubleheaders now. It feels like we have a Monday night doubleheader every night. It's ridiculous, but
love them.
These games really shift the market, and we've seen it through key numbers in 2 spots. Certainly stuff to keep your eye on, Brady. We appreciate it as always. We'll set you up. Final bets for the night next. On SportsGrid, it's Game Time Decisions.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
You may be surprised, because I am, that the athlete in the world who has become the first billionaire is Cristiano Ronaldo. I did not know that, and I did not have that on my bingo card. So after his contract that he just signed, it means that he's the first athlete to ever earn $1 billion playing sports.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
This one's for you, Tommy Reynolds. I know you're a Rochester Americans guy, but the big team, the Buffalo Sabres, at home against the listless Rangers. Can we get plus 102? We can in overtime. Knockaroo does it again. Buffalo over the Rangers.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I told you Vladimir Guerrero would hit a home run. He hits a home run on his first pitch. 2-run shot, 2-0 Jays. And I gave you Suarez earlier. I'm telling you, Scott, Contreras last night, Story the other night, bro, every night I've been hitting these home run props. And not the easy Ohtani ones at plus 190. Right. These are plus 450s, baby.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions. We're live on SportsGrid. It is a Tuesday night. Best bets. Running back re-rack. Ohtani 2+ hit run RBI. This has moved quite a bit, though. I think minus 130 is the best you can now get on Shohei in the market for 2+ hit run RBI. AJ's on Peralta over 5.5 Ks. I like both pitchers' strikeouts tonight. I think you'd have some fun with that alt market, whether it be pick your pitcher or play them together, combined for 13, 14, 15 type of situation. Sam's going to back Western Kentucky's team total over 33.5. I will say, and I mentioned this off at the top, of the college football tonight, that was the game that was most tempting to me, which was to play FIU at 10.5. Let me see if that is still out there. Yeah, it is. We're 10 everywhere, 1 9.5, 1 10.5. So, again, pick your fighter, pick your battle. The 1 10.5 is minus 120. The 1 9.5 is minus 120. FIU, good, run-centric team. Western Kentucky bad against the run. Now, Western Kentucky airs it out. That's what they do. It's who they are since the start of this season. So I understand why that team total's in play for Western Kentucky. I would think, FIU would like to run the ball and try and slow things up here a little bit. But as I said, I just think it's fun to be involved with these games. You can absolutely get involved if you want. We can talk leans and whatnot, and I lean FIU. I'm not forcing plays in FIU, Western Kentucky. Listen, spoiler, I'm sorry. I'm not forcing plays in Delaware, Jacksonville State. We'll break them down. Right? But we got Major League Baseball tonight. We got NBA start next week. Let's go. Can't wait. Right? So there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be able to focus in on and lock in on. And I want to just do this one more time because we did put this together and it was a good time. The tiers, 28 teams made it. 4 teams didn't. Falcons, Vikings, Broncos, Bears. Here's what I would say for the Falcons. I considered putting them in the Jets tier because they were shut out by the Panthers, and I'm sorry, I'm not getting over that, not for a while. It will be December before that is something that I possibly stop bringing up around the Falcons. The Vikings feel misplaced and need a touchdown because they're never going to get a touchdown number, it feels like, associated with them, but not for me, also feels a little bit high, and I'm not comfortable saying that while Carson Wentz is their quarterback. The Broncos look like a clear-cut, not-for-me team. They were decidedly that coming into this season, but the defense is playing at such a level that when you pair that with Sean Payton, there could be some juice on that group. So it didn't make the cut. And the Bears, I would have wanted to put, because the Bears are for me. I don't know if they have real juice yet. So they ended up unranked, these teams. But how the tiers landed. The worst teams in football, the Jets, the Browns, and the Titans, that's exactly what they are. Will Shedeur Sanders get a call at some point from the Browns to be their starting quarterback? If the answer is no, it's not going to be because Dylan Gabriel held him off. Let's just say that. Like, that is already, Dylan Gabriel right now rocking a sweet 4.8 yards per pass attempt. Threw the ball 52 times against Pittsburgh for less than 225 yards. Need a touchdown. We're getting a touchdown this week with the Giants against the Broncos. We're getting way more than a touchdown this week with the Raiders against the Chiefs. Future potential, that Green Goblin mask staring at me. Bengals, Ravens, Texans. That's Cincinnati 400-1. You're telling me you don't have a taste of that? Come on now. Can't wait for that Thursday. Not for me. Steelers, Colts, Commanders, Jags, Seahawks, Rams. I saw power rankings today. 1 Tampa, 2 Rams, Chiefs, 5. The whole thing was an attack on Philadelphia. Real juice, Bucks, Chargers, Pats, Niners. Futures market consideration. I think I have a future tied to 3 of the 4 teams, and the one I don't, the most money in my household is tied to Tampa Bay. Definitely your year. Definitely your year. Green Bay, Buffalo, Detroit. If it's not now, when is it? But also, it's definitely not now. It's definitely your year. Super Bowl winning pedigree. Super Bowl winning culture. Chiefs, Eagles. I'll just say this again. I have no problem with Kansas City being atop rankings, but then you cannot justifiably have Philly anywhere lower than 2. See you tomorrow. In Game Live is next.